G'day guys, this is Dave from the Wellness at Work Committee, and I wanted to make this quick little voice clip that I hope will lift you up for Mental Health Month. Mental health awareness often talks about the negative aspects: depression, suicide, anger. So I thought I'd give you something a little bit different and try to connect you back to that awesome person that you are. To do that, I want you to think about something you truly want in your life. Anything you want. Let's say $1 million. How do you make $1 million? The concept is pretty easy. You find something that makes you $1 and you do that 1,000,000 times. You'll get $1 million. Might take you a while, but you will get there. If I could guarantee making $1 a second, I'd have $1 million in 2 weeks, even without working the Sundays. Needless to say, I don't have $1 million, nor do I expect to by next pay, so there is a little hole in that plan. But it is possible. Some combination of paths I can take in my life can enable me to do that. I just have to figure out what those paths are. If I found a way to get rid of that flaw, perhaps I could do it. Maybe if I could make $1 every 2 seconds and settle for $1 million in a month. If I could make myself put away $91 a day, I could have more than $1 million in 30 years when I retire. Maybe I could buy a lotto ticket, and it is possible that I could cut out all the hard work and simply make $1 million in a couple of seconds alone, but we all know how that works out for most of us. So whatever you were thinking of, whatever goal you wanted to achieve, I want you to simply think one very real truth. It is possible. Not that it's going to happen, because that's going to make you really lazy with pursuing it, or even whether it's probable, but only that it's possible. Start with that little step. Think of your goal, stop shaking your head at how outlandish it is, and say to yourself, it's possible. You've got to believe, even if it's only a little bit, that it's possible to get where you're headed. And if you can do that, you can start taking steps. Possibility is a seed for imagination. And the more you concentrate on what is not possible, you crush your imagination for what is. You crush that creativity, that desire, that urge to know, and the willingness to do. You are not going to meet a young child that says it's impossible to fly. As a matter of fact, you probably knew a few kids who tried to, and if you don't, then you can look at me, because I was one of them. I met physics in a very rude way as a kid, despite my homemade Superman cape that Mum made. Other kids think they're invisible, or they have a friend who is. They are little kids who'll take a full swing at a grown man because they think they can win, purely because right in the face of overwhelming odds, they believe it is remotely possible they can, and even if they don't, they have a go anyway. We lose that at some point along the way, and it's up to us to make sure we bring it back. What you know that you know, and what you know that you don't hold a shadow to what you don't know that you don't know. There are absolutely, positively ways to achieve almost anything, provided it doesn't defy natural law. And there is always a number of logical paths you can take to get to that point. But sometimes you have to do things in order. When you drive to Sydney, you don't just point your car at Sydney and go. You'd wind up through 3 flaming buildings before you even got out of your block. You find the roads you know. And you follow the roads that you know will lead that way based on where you are currently. You ask directions. You take dirt roads with potholes in them if you need to. You fix flats if you need to. But you take the roads that get you there and you don't turn around. It does not, however, mean that any path you take will be easy, or even that the path will be immediately available to you at this stage in your life. You're not going to see a sign for Sydney until you've made your way to the highway from here, so you can't always be looking for the right path to just present itself out of the blue. The fact of the matter is that sometimes life is going to beat you. You can say you're on top of the world and think you're untouchable, but sooner or later, life is going to beat you to the point where you don't know what to do. It's in those moments where sometimes your most important step doesn't have anything to do with your goals or dreams. It's not about work, family, promotions, or raises. Sometimes when life beats you hard enough, it isn't even about being happy. At this point, the most important step is simply about taking your next one. Sometimes just taking the next step is the most important thing you can do, because life is bigger than you. Life is the closest answer to God that most of us will ever see. It is at least as powerful, and it will not stop for you. Life will not stop because you don't get your goals. It won't stop because you didn't get the job you wanted. And it definitely won't wait for you because you decide you want to sit on the edge of the road and feel sorry for yourself. You've got to take another step. And when you've taken that one, you take another one. Then another and another. And until you get back to the point where you don't have to fight with yourself to walk normally, you just keep concentrating on the next step. Even if the believing part comes later, at least start. Even if every step isn't thought of as a step closer, but a step further away from where you were, then sometimes that's enough. For some people, at stages in their life, a destination is arbitrary compared with the importance of getting away from where they were in the first place. It's like finding yourself floating in the middle of the ocean and deciding you're just going to stay there, hoping someone will come along. You don't drown by falling in water, you drown by staying there. But some people don't drown in water. They drown in work. They drown in toxic relationships. They drown in alcohol or drugs. They drown in trying to meet expectations and setting themselves on fire to keep others warm. Sometimes you need to put aside where you're going for the moment and just think about what you need to do next. Stop thinking about getting to Sydney and fix the flat tyre. Think about getting out of the rain and the mud and what you need to do to be safe. And once you've done that, then think about Sydney. Put first things first. Get out of the water. Don't sit there and drown. Then once you've dried off, think about the roads you need to take, what directions you need to ask, seek advice on how to get there, put one foot in front of the other and get to Sydney. Get to that goal. While you're at it, fix other people's tyres. Give other people lifts. Tell people you can see coming your way that the road you just tried was so rough it nearly killed you, but you made it, and here's how they can too. Hoping you've been well, guys. Sing out if you need a chat.